reason for the whole classic album things. I'm aware that I've said a massive amount of stuff over the years about retro and not wanting to be involved in it, and to a very large degree that is still true. That I it's not my thing really, and but the reason I think I was so anti it for such a long time is because of this. My initial success was so massive. I've always felt that it created a shadow that I found it very, very difficult to come out from underneath. And it, rather than being something that was helping me, I felt it was something that was holding me back, and it went on for years and years and years. You know, I always see photographs of me in a magazine or something, you know, in 2000 and whatever, and it would say 80s pop star underneath it, and things like that really bothered me. I didn't want to be pigeonholed into an era. I didn't want to be seen as coming from an era, because I saw myself as ongoing. I saw the whole career and my musical output and the creativity of what I was doing to be an ongoing thing. It didn't stop at the end of '89. And apart from that, it was inaccurate because my most success was in '79. It wasn't even the '80s. So, but that wasn't my problem. So I've had this thing about it. And so instead of looking back on my history with pride and realising what it had done and how important it was, I tried to distance myself from it, as you know, for many, many years. And so what I'm doing now with this particular tour, this classic album tour, would seem to be a bit hypocritical. So I wanted to explain why things have changed, why I do feel differently about it now, and why I've come not just come to terms with my past, but actually become to enjoy it and be proud of it in a way I hadn't before. And it's all because of Splinter. I've been making all this industrial stuff, this heavier stuff, since Sacrifice, 1994, and I've constantly turned down anything to do with nostalgia or retro. I've done a few little things, you know, when Pleasure Principle anniversary came along, I did that. Did a replicas thing very briefly in Britain. I think I did 4 shows of Telecom once a while back. So I've not absolutely blanked it, because I do realise the way that you know, a big chunk of the fan base feel about it, and I've wanted to try to do it at the right time. I didn't want to incorporate too much of it into my main set, because you know I was trying to avoid it. And with a new tour, you're pushing new stuff. You want to concentrate on new stuff, and you want the whole vibe of the thing to be now and what you're doing now. So even when I did do old songs, I would massively upgrade them, you know. Well, you know all this, you've been there probably. But I didn't do much of it, and the reason for doing those things in the past when I had done it, was to try to keep those people happy. I get a lot of stick because I don't do that much old stuff, and I think it has backed off a little bit recently actually, but certainly, you know, going back a little while, a huge amount of stick. So I knew it was a problem, and I knew that there was a lot of people that I was annoying and possibly losing fans because of, which I could ill afford to do. And so I would do those Telecon days and replicas and things like that. The Pleasure Principle one ended up being much bigger than it should have been, than it was intended to be, rather. But that was a while back now. What's it, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. But it was Splinter. Splinter comes along. And for a number of reasons, it was very successful. You know, I read many reviews where it was considered to be the best album I've ever done, not one of, but the best album I've ever done. And there were many, many more where it was one of the, you know, the top 3 albums I've ever done, and so on. And that made me feel that after all these years and all these decades, I had finally come out from under the shadow of the early success. It was the best-selling album I've had since 1981. First one in the chart, I think, since 1983. So the reviews are great, the performance of it was great. Everything about it was brilliant for me, and I was really proud of it. And I loved making it in the most part, and it was all good. And that made me think, at last. As soon as that shadow was lifted and I was seen again as a viable act in 2013 and onwards, I was doing things that were credible now rather than had done something that was credible a long, long time ago. It makes you feel different, and I was able to look back at my history with the pride that I never really had before, and with an enthusiasm for it that I hadn't before. And this coincided, I don't know if you've noticed, but over the last few years I've had awards for inspiration, for innovation, 2 of them now, and good ones. You know, you're not, no disrespect, but not like your local fanzine saying you've done really well. Proper, meaningful awards. I actually got another one which I'm not allowed to talk about, and it's probably the biggest one of all. But you have to get it in person. If you don't go to this big award ceremony in London and get it in person, you're not allowed to have it, which is really weird. So I've actually got a really, really big award, which I might now be getting in 2017. I'm not sure how that's going to work, because I need to be there to get it. So I need to know if I'm getting it so I can keep those dates clear. But that was a weird one. But the biggest one of all, I couldn't be there because I was touring. So I couldn't get it, so I didn't get it, which is really, really disappointing, because that would have been icing on the cake. But when you add all those things, the awards I've got, and the fact that Splinter did what it did, it just made me feel as if I was absolutely shadow free, and I'd finally done it. After all that time, I'd finally proven that I was as good as ever, better than ever, and still here, and still alive, and still doing it. And so I was able to look back at Cars and Our Friends Electric and all that stuff and all those albums, and for the first time ever say, actually, it was different, and I did do something special, and it was groundbreaking, and it was innovative, and all those things that other people have been saying. And I've kind of been doing the humble pie thing with it. I was able to actually enjoy it and think, do you know what, that was me. I did do all that, and I should be proud of it. And then it made me feel different about doing it. If I could now stand up on stage and play those songs, but from a point of view of saying, these are the songs that started so much, these are the songs that inspired countless numbers of people, and in a way created an entirely new genre of music. Now, the last time that's happened, everything, all the dance and electronic thing that's going on now, it all goes back, not just to me specifically, but to that era, that moment of which I was a key part of, one of the key part of. So enormously proud. So I now find that I have this massive catalogue of songs which I've largely ignored for the best part of 35, 40 years, which I'm now able to play. But they are different to what I'm doing now, up to a large degree. So it's been really good. It's not been an embarrassing experience. I can't honestly say I massively enjoyed Pleasure Principle, despite what I might have said back in the day. I didn't really. I didn't want to be doing it. Certainly didn't want it to grow as much as it grew. I was doing that because I thought I ought to, because I thought the fans deserved it, and I should just, get off my high horse and do it. There comes a point, I think I might have said this before, where I began to feel as if I was sort of doing that to the people that were most important to me, to the people that have supported me for longest and have been the most loyal and so on, by not doing what they kept asking me to do. And I started to feel really bad about that. So I did your Telecons and your Replicas and those things before. But I didn't want to. I really didn't want to, and I didn't enjoy it. And I'd often have little meltdowns at the end of the night and stomp around in my dressing room saying, why am I doing this? Why? I really didn't want to be doing it. But this is different. This is, if I was to choose doing this compared to the next album or Splinter, then I'll be truthful. It's not up there the same, because my enthusiasm for new things is as strong as ever, and my reason for doing music, my reasons for being in music, is still and always will be about what I'm doing next. That's where I get excited. What I'm going to do tomorrow, much more exciting than what I did 10 minutes ago, mostly. So it's not going to change, you know. But I can honestly say that with these particular shows, they have been fun, and I have enjoyed going back, and I do have this newfound pride in what I did before, and I am happy to stand on stage and play these songs and say, you know, this changed a lot of stuff. But bearing in mind, it changed a lot of stuff. So for me now, my interest is what I'm going to do next, and hope that might change some things. And you just keep on pushing forward. So I won't be doing this again for quite some time. And I'm getting older, so it might be that I don't ever do it again. Actually, we'll have to wait and see on that. But I did an interesting thing a while ago. I actually wrote down every album that I'd made with a little chart beside it with, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20, and all the years where a significant anniversary would be. And if I live forever, there every year for the rest of my life, there is going to be one album, sometimes 2 or 3, that have a significant anniversary within that year. And I can't even remember what they are now, but it's a big graph because I've done so much stuff for such a long time. I can't remember, like next year, I think there's a couple of albums next year that have got, you know, 25th anniversary or 10th or 50th, you know. And even the industrial stuff, like Sacrifice, we're now well into anniversary periods on those as well, so it just makes me feel really old. But so it might not, if I ever do it again, then it might not be these 3. It could well be something else, you know. But these are the ones, you know, these are the #1 albums, and these are the ones right at the beginning, and these are the ones that did have such an effect on music in general, not just my life. And that so many bands refer to these albums as being the ones that got them into music or give them their own direction, you know. And you know, we're talking about huge bands that have gone on to be massive, so they are important, and I am very proud of them, and that's why I've done it.